Today we're going to work a series of math ACT prep questions, and we're going to just get started right now with this first one. It says the first term in the geometric sequence below is -3 if it can be determined what is the sixth term. So we're given a series of numbers right here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 numbers and we are asked for the sixth term. And we also have another keyword in this question talking about the geometric sequence. And so there are two different kinds of sequences. We have geometric and arithmetic. With geometric, we're looking for a common ratio, a number that we are going to multiply each term in the sequence by to get the next term. Well, the first thing I notice when I look at these 5 numbers from this sequence, we have a negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. So if you see the sequence, we can look at our answer choices and even eliminate some of them now, because if following this sequence, that sixth term, which goes right here, is going to be a positive number. So we can eliminate option A and B automatically. Next, we need to find what is that common ratio? What is the number that we multiply each one of these by to get the next number in the sequence? So when we begin, we'll look at -3 and think, what do we multiply -3 by to get a positive 9? So -3 times a -3 is going to give us a 9. In the same way, you can think of multiplying the next one 9 times, we're going to use that -3, that is -27. And that's what is the next number in the sequence. So it follows that each one of these are obtained by multiplying the number times -3. So when we're looking for this sixth term, we're going to take the -243, multiply that by -3, and you should get 729, which is option D. Let's take a look at this next question. Every year on Sam's birthday, his grandmother gives him $10 plus $3 for each year of his age. How old will Sam be when he receives $40 from his grandmother on his birthday? Well, let's look. The grandmother gives $10 no matter what, and then our variable that she's going to give is $3 for each year of his life, so that's dependent on his age. So let's try to write an equation for this. We know she's always going to give the $10 plus she gives $3 times his age, and we'll use X for his age because that is the variable, that's what changes. Now, what we're given in the question portion is that how old will he be when he receives $40? So when this gift is equal to 40, how old is Sam, which is our X value? So all we need to do is solve this algebraic equation, and let's solve for X. So we're going to subtract 10 from both sides, and we get 3X is equal to 30. Divide through by that 3, and we get X is equal to 10. So answer choice B is our answer. When Sam is 10, he will receive $40. All right, our next problem is on level ground, a 60-foot tree casts a 100-foot shadow. At the same time, a vertical pole casts a 15-foot shadow. What is the height in feet of the pole? So since we're doing this as prep work, I like to do drawings to make sure we understand what we're even doing. And even in the test, it's fine if you have to do some drawings of figures and that sort of thing so you can visualize the problem. All right, but we're given that a 60-foot tree casts a 100-foot shadow. Okay, and then at the same time a vertical pole, so we've got some other pole, casts a 15-foot shadow. We don't know the height. That's what we're asked to find, the height of the pole. Now in my picture, it's actually not exactly to scale, but I do know since this tree is at the same time these shadows are being made, the longer shadow is going to come from a taller object, right? So 15 is less than 100, so we know first off that H has got to be less than 60. So just doing a quick glance at our answer choices, we can already eliminate option E, 250, because that's more than 60. So this problem we can also use by setting up a proportion or a ratio. We know that the 60 over h, we can set that up to be the same as the height of the pole over 15. So we've got the same measurements at the same position. So first we've got the height of the tree or the pole, and then the length of the shadows. So when we have a problem like this, we can cross multiply. 60 times 15 is equal to 100 times h, and this is equal to 900 equals 100h. Solve for h, which is equal to 9, and that's going to be answer choice C. All right, we'll move on to question number 4. A wading pool is in the shape of a right circular cylinder and has a diameter of 8 feet. The pool is filled to a uniform depth of 2 feet. What is the volume of water in the pool in cubic feet? And notice the note, the volume of a right circular cylinder is pi r squared h, where r is the radius of the cylinder and h is the height of the cylinder. And we really like these kind of questions when they straight up give us the formula. So the question is, we're looking for the volume of water in the pool, which is a right circular cylinder, and they give us that equation right here. The volume of a right circular cylinder is pi r squared h. Okay, so let's take a look at the data that we're given. We know that this pool has a diameter of 8 feet, but in our formula, volume equals pi r squared h, we have radius. So we know from this the radius is equal to 1/2 diameter, so that's going to give us a radius of 4. We also are given that the pool is filled to a uniform depth of 2 feet. So we've got our h value here, so we can plug in. Before I plug in real quick, because I've got pi in the formula, I'm going to take a glance at the answer choices and notice that pi is in all of these choices. So I don't have to plug anything in for pi. That's going to save me a few seconds on my calculating. So let's just plug in, keep pi in the formula. We said r was equal to 4. Don't forget to square that 4. And h is equal to 2. All our units look good. We were in 8 feet, 2 feet, and our answer is in cubic feet. So we're going to plug that in. You may not even have to plug things like this in your calculator, because most calculations on the ACT, you don't even need your calculator. Now, it's okay to use it. Also, it's a good idea to get into practice of being able to do these multiplication problems in your head. 4 squared is 16 times 2 is 32, and that gives us 32 pi, which is answer choice C. All right, now let's take a look at the 5th problem. For the function f of x equals the absolute value of x cubed minus 8, what is the value of f of minus 2? So you may or may not have been in a math class yet where you've had to do much with functions. That's when we see this f of x, or you may see something like g of x, h of x. It really doesn't matter what this letter is right here, the f, but that is a function. And what this means when we want to find out what f of negative 2 is, it means take the function f and plug in a negative 2 everywhere there's an x. So we're going to just copy everything but plugging in a negative 2 for the x, and we're going to evaluate that. So the absolute value of negative 2 is just a positive 2, and we still have to cube that, minus the 8. So 2 cubed, remember, is the same as 2 times 2 times 2. Make sure you review that because there are some mistakes people make with that. So 2 cubed is just 8 minus 8. That gives us a final answer of 0, which is answer choice D, 0. All right, for problem number 6, we're asked, what is 125% of 260? All right, so when you're working with percents, I know that a lot of calculators can work with straight up percents or whatever, but I always think it's a good idea to be familiar with going from percents to decimal points and that sort of thing. So when we have 125%, To change that to a decimal point, we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left, and that gives us 1.25. That is the same as 125%. This is the value that I would be familiar with because there's other things sometimes we have to do with percents and decimals. I know you can put this in the calculator like I said, but let's work with 1.25. When we have this question, what is 125% of 260? When you hear of, you probably think multiplication. 1.25 times 260, we're going to put that in our calculator, and we come up with 325, which is answer choice C. The 7th problem here says a sector of a circle has an area equal to 1/12 of the area of the circle. What is the measure of the sector's central angle? Okay, let's just do a picture so we can visualize what we're talking about here. We're talking about a circle, and with this circle we have a sector. What does a sector mean? That is almost like a piece. If you're thinking of a pie piece or something, that is our sector right there. And it says that a sector of a circle has an area, so we're going to talk about the area of this sector, is equal to 1/12 of the area of the entire circle. Okay, so the entire circle, this is just 1/12 of it. Our question, though, has to do with finding the measure of the sector's central angle. Okay, so when we're talking about a central angle, I'm just going to draw another sector. That's not the same one. The central angle is the angle where the vertex is the center of the circle. So this would be a central angle right there for this particular sector. So we're looking for the vertex of the sector here that's highlighted in red. Now, if we know this about the 1/12 the area, that's basically telling us that this sector is 1/12 of the entire circle. So we can use that information when we're trying to find this central angle, because we know that the full measure of a circle is 360 degrees, but we want 1/12 of that. So we can turn that into 30 degrees for that measure. And that is answer choice A. All right, the 8th question says a video game has a regular price of $65.97 before taxes. It goes on sale at 20% below the regular price. Before taxes are added, what is the sale price of the video game? So really what they're trying to get at on this problem, we don't really have to consider taxes. So that's a good thing in terms of doing our calculations here. The main question is, what is the sale price of the video game? Well, we're given the initial price to be $65.97, and the sale is 20% off. So you can do these 2 different ways. It's whatever you're most comfortable with. You can think of it as, if you do 20% off, we would multiply this times 20%. And when you plug that into your calculator, you get 13.19. But then you have to subtract that from the $65.97. And when you do that subtraction, we get $52.78. Now another way, of course you wouldn't do it both ways. You figure out what works for you. When you're doing a sale price, 20% is what you're discounted. But if you take the original price, you think if you're discounted 20%, you're only going to pay 80%. So you could plug in 80% times $65.97, and that will give you the $52.78. So either way works for that, and that is option D. All right, we've hit a statistics problem. So let's take a look at this. A bag contains 8 yellow jelly beans, 3 red jelly beans, and 5 green jelly beans, all in the same shape and size. When one jelly bean is randomly picked from the bag, what is the probability that it is red? So we're looking for the probability of a red jelly bean. This gives us the information that all of the jelly beans are basically, there's an equal probability that we'll pick any one of them. To do any kind of probability, you know, it is the part over the whole. The whole being how many total jelly beans do we have? Well, let's look at that. We have 8 yellow, we have 3 red, and 5 green. And the part is the portion that is the red. That's what we're looking for, red. So we have 3 red jelly beans. So we can put that in our fraction, and we have 8 plus 3 plus 5 is 16. 3 over 16. Our answer choices are in fractional form, so we will be able to straight up pick option B, which is 3/16. Okay, our final problem for the day reads that the sum of the real numbers x and y is 12. Their difference is 10. What is the value of x times y, xy? Okay, so it looks like we've got a couple of relationships here, and let's just read these out. The sum of the real numbers x and y is 12. So when we hear sum, we think addition, and so it says x plus y is equal to 12. Their difference is 10. Difference means subtraction, so we'll just say x minus y equals 10. And we want to know what is x times y. That's our unknown. Well, when we have two equations like this with two unknown values, we can solve for that. If you remember, there are several different methods that you can use to solve a system of equations, one of them being elimination. And that's what I'm going to choose to use because I see right here these two y's. One has a plus sign, one has a minus sign, and so I'm going to set these up so that I can add these two equations up, and these will cancel out. I'm going to add x plus x is 2x equals 12 plus 10 is 22. X divided through by 2 is 11. That gives me my value for x. I'm not finished, but I do want to point out to you, look at what one of the answer choices is over here. 11. If we stopped right here, this is an intermediary answer. It is not the final answer. But if you're not remembering, if you're not paying attention to what the final question is, you could be tempted to look over here, see the 11, and choose it as an answer. So I don't want you to do that. We've got to find out what y is because we've got to look at x times y. Okay, so let's go back to our original equation, and I'm going to use the x plus y equals 12 equation, and I'm going to plug in 11 for x, the one we just found, and we're going to subtract 11 from both sides, and we get y is equal to 1. Now, in this case, though, because we're looking for x times y, x is 11, y is 1, guess what our answer is? It's 11, so it actually does turn out to be B, but it's because of this right here, not this step right here. I just want you to be aware of that, okay? So that was answer choice B. That concludes all the questions that we have today. Be sure and come back and check out our videos on this site, and we will do more ACT Math prep questions for you to help you prepare to do your very best on the ACT.